Start with our ratings and stuff with the Division of Drinking Water and our violations and kind of where we're standing with them. I was just going through a checkoff list. After tomorrow and Monday, hopefully we've got every violation cleaned up.
And what does that mean?
That means that the binning or screening, after I get up the mountain on Monday, then I'll know more, but hopefully I can just fix them while I'm there. Then we can submit to the division and get some of the points removed from our report. But for the most part, I don't know if you guys have all seen this report, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. Bilateral agreement you're talking about.
Yeah, the bilateral agreement with the Division of Drinking, and you know, just the minor violations we had. We're just about finished cleaning them up, so we'll make the day.
Which is basically screening.
Screening and vents.
Okay.
So, and I don't know what I'm gonna run into. I was just looking at chaffing right here, needs a flow rate and a vent on the collection spring box, so I'm not sure what I'm up against till I get up there to see what I gotta have.
Screening and what was the other?
Vents. Proper vents.
Bids.
So that's where we're at with the division, and we gotta have all this done by the 15th of June, I believe. And then,
Okay.
then Chuck, Jeff's come down with rural water, and we spent a few days putting together our systems flush program, for the contract we have between the division and the new project that's been going on with Browns and everybody. We have to do a systems flush, and as far as I know, we've submitted to request that we don't do a systems flush until October, November.
And I got an okay from John Ogeson on
Okay
that.
on that?
Yeah, I
Okay.
explained to him what, what we discussed, and that was, that it wasn't feasible for us to do it at this time, because, we'd be draining the whole system, and this is not, right, and we could do it in the fall when our water rates are increased.
It's lower.
It's gonna take about 350,000 gallons to do the systems flush, and it'll probably take us a week, I'm guessing.
Do a section at a time.
Yeah, the way it
Yeah,
works,
explain to him that
The way
plan
that-
that he came up with.
the way the systems flush works, I don't think I've put it in my book, yeah I have, is basically, I wish I had a site plan so you could all look at it. We take different sections of the system, starting at point A at the tanks and then work towards town without bypassing any other pipes in the ground. Just make sure we hit them all and just kind of, for say flood the whole town, we have to shut down and take the size of the pipe, the length of the pipe, and figure out how many gallons are in it, and then run that many gallons out of the fire hydrant to get a proper systems flush. And that takes any sediment that's in the pipes and flushes it out. So we went through and figured out which valves we need to shut, and which valves we need to open, and do the systems flush. And at the same time, we have to keep everybody in town in water while we're doing this. So it's took quite the process of setting it up, and we've got it all set up so we know which valves to shut and the address of the valves, and then we know how long we need to open, and we know which fire hydrants we're gonna open, and we know how long we need to run them to get our systems flushed. So it should
We've
all
also
run.
budgeted, and the money that we've got left for some of the water lines that we've been doing, we put in there for some flush valves, some extra flush valves where we don't have them. And so we'll be having those installed, so we don't have any of those dead end lines, so we don't have sediment sitting in the lines. And like I said, this is all part of the agreement, that bilateral agreement we signed with the state. So it's gonna be a good deal for us. We'll be able to, and it's already helped us learn a lot about the system.
Looking at the tanks and the bottoms of them, I don't know when the last time the tanks were ever cleaned. Do you know, Jimmy?
I don't.
I don't think they've been have to be cleaned very often.
Do you
The
clean?
sediment on the bottom of the tanks is not very
It's
much,
pretty
it's very
negligible.
minimal. So we have pretty clean water coming in to our tanks, which is good. So the system's flush should fly right through. Be good.
That will be in October, November.
October, November.
Okay.
You want to explain your monitoring program, what you're doing now with the samples that we're sending in, and where you're taking those?
I got a site plan that I put together on sample sites that we have to do monthly. We have to pull a water sample, send it in, and be tested for chloroforms. And this is just a small, I'll pass it around so you can look at it. I have different sites throughout the whole water system. Haven't you seen that yet?
No.
That I'll pull a sample from, and then so on and so on, and there's 12 site plans, we do 12 samples a year unless we get positive chloroform in one site. And the reason for the site plan is so if we do get a positive chloroform, we're not trying to remember for sure where we took the sample from or what section.
It's not
This way,
chloroform,
you
he's
can go and you can
mispronouncing
narrow
it.
it down and hopefully put the bad sample within a block radius rather than guessing the, sample in the whole town. So
That's what he puts it.
that's kind of what we have a site plan put in place for.
It's he's
And I don't know if you've been watching TV with the bad water up in Saratoga,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out where their bad water's coming from, but
And that was all part of the state's requirement, and that's gonna help us, we'll be able to distinguish and narrow that down too. So that's all the plan that we got in place. What about Brown Brothers, where are they?
Brown Brothers, I didn't get any bad phone calls today, so all the samples passed. So that was number 2 on there. The Norris Cook line is what we've named the line out here. So that means it could probably be put into production and use.
Can you explain why we did that, if in case anybody didn't understand that,
On the
that
loop.
whole loop?
The reason why you loop 2 mains is so that you don't have dead end pipes per se and stagnant water starting to form. You do a loop and then that way it increases flow, it increases, usually increases pressure to some point, and eliminates the idea of having the stagnant water take place.
And that fire flows continue to
Continue to flow.
And, that 4-inch line that we replaced out there was an old line that we, I guess it's been being worked on, that was installed years ago. Anyway, we opted to go with the new 4-inch line up that valley a little ways so that, we can eliminate some of those problems in that area. So that we're not, having to do a lot of repairs, which was kind of weighing heavy on our budget at the time, but we did that. Put a new flow meter.
We got a new flow meter at the tank. It was running, at times it was running up to 700 gallons a minute coming into town. That's excluding the rainbow tanks. Well, we got about 412 minutes coming in, 412 gallons a minute coming in at the first of this month into the tanks, so we're barely.
That's the rainbow tank.
No,
No,
that's
that's
on regular tanks.
The project we did at the rainbow tank by replacing that water line up, the spring line coming in, made it so we could turn the high altitude valve on and use the function of it properly, so the rainbow tanks don't run over anymore.
That's good. That valve never did work.
It works great now.
Oh, that's good.
Well, the reason it didn't work was because, the pressure on that line
Right.
would have been so great that it would.
It kept blowing the line out
Right.
when they would use the high altitude valve, so.
But that way, Sleeping Rainbow isn't going to